Alrighty, traders, we are live. Let me just make sure everything's going well here. Good morning or good afternoon, traders. In today's session, I'm going to share with you a long-term pattern that's been forming for the last probably close to a decade now in silver and gold, in which why this pattern tells us that we could be getting ready for a good couple of year, maybe even 2 to 5 year bull run coming in the markets. And so, in today's session, I want to share with you that that pattern that I'm talking about there. So I just want to make sure everything's set up on that you guys can see me okay and all that sort of stuff. Everything looks good on your end there. Yep. All right, fantastic. So that's what I want to share with you in today's session there. So once again, guys, I'm going to be sharing with you the number one pattern that I see in the markets that's really going to share with you what's going to happen there. So let's get straight into it, guys. Before I do start, guys, let's actually go into the typical disclaimer. Guys, do not place a trade based on what you're seeing in this session today, because trading is risky and it can cause substantial financial loss. There is no guarantees of making a profit in the markets. So be smart about the way that you're trading, right? You know that. Also, guys, if you haven't done so yet, go down to Johns, JOHNS, flashsale.com to grab the flash sale to the Breakthrough Master Trading course. So go do that right now for the flash sale there. So one thing I want to walk you through this here, and I want to start off with this here, okay? So obviously I've just finished, the markets are just closed for me, and I've been doing my trading, and trading has been amazing today. It's been a bit frustrating, a long story there with my private clients. But I want to share with you, I really want to focus on silver and gold in this session today, because there's something truly incredible that's been forming here. So let me walk you through what I'm seeing and why I'm seeing this on silver and gold right now. So when we're looking at the analysis, right, when we're looking at the charts, we can look at the daily charts, we can look at the weekly charts, we can look at the monthly charts. Now, think about this for a minute. If we see a pattern form on the daily chart, right, then that's okay. What I mean by okay, right, that could produce a move maybe for a week or two, right? If, say, for example, a bull flag, if you see a bull flag on a daily chart, and it does break, guess what? You could expect maybe a move for a week or two, right, off a daily chart. If you see a nice, good bull flag on, say, for example, the weekly chart, then you could expect a nice maybe up to maybe a month or more on the weekly chart. But if you start to look at these patterns on the monthly charts, then you start to see some pretty powerful things happening, right? Where you could see something happening there. So I want to start off by explaining to you basically triangle patterns. And if you know what they are, then I want to walk you through what I see and why they're so powerful. So there's a couple of different triangle patterns that you can actually have in the markets, okay? So you can have, there's like a descending pattern where the market has a lot of support, and then the market's been coming down through here, okay? So it's like descending. Now, just because the market is coming down through here, just because the market is basically doing this, right? It's basically doing something like this here, right? Descending on the downside, meaning it's making high, lower high, and a lower high. Just because that happens doesn't mean it's going to break to the downside, right? It just means it's squeezing up into patterns, because I've seen so many times that when it does break here, then we see a big bull run up to here. I've also seen the flip side to the opposite, right? Where the market has a big run up through here, and then we have the market squeezing up into some sort of triangle pattern here, right? And we'd have something look like this here, where the market would continue to make higher lows and so on and so forth, right? Like that there. So once again, this here is an ascending triangle pattern, which simply means that the market's making higher lows now, but it's making equal peaks through here. And so with this one here, again, it could break to the upside and we could go for a big run. And if that happens, cool. But what I've seen a lot of times, this is what actually happened with oil a while ago as well too. It formed like this. We actually got a break, and then then we saw oil completely just fall apart. This happened about a few years ago. So we could see that there, or we could get like a triangle pattern that forms like this here as well too, right? Where the market does this, where the market's really just, it's just a sideways sort of triangle pattern there. They're sort of the three main different triangle patterns you're going to see in the markets there when you're trading, okay? Now, once again, these triangle patterns, they're not bullish or they're not bearish. They have like they have like a bearish tone to them, yeah. So for example, right, we have a bearish over here, this one right here, right? We have what? We have a bearish tone because the market's making lower lows and lower highs. This is exactly what actually Bitcoin did before it fell from 6,000 down to 3,000. It had this type of pattern. And same for the same for this pattern here, right? It has a bullish tone, right? Because the market's making higher lows, and higher lows. So we have this pattern here, and then this pattern over here. What do we have? We have pretty much really there's no tone at all, right? It's just squeezing up into a triangle pattern. But think about these triangle patterns as like a hose, right? You've got the water coming out, but when you squeeze the hose, on the end, what happens, right? It just squirts right out, right? That's the way the market works. So whenever we get these triangle patterns, think about it as it's squeezing up and squeezing up and squeezing up and squeezing up, and that hose is going to squirt somewhere, and wherever it breaks, it's probably going to go for a pretty big run, especially when you start to see these patterns on the longer term pictures, right? On the bigger charts, not just the daily charts, but when we start to go to the weeklies and the monthly charts, that's when we can start to see some pretty significant or pretty amazing patterns that form on the markets. So they're the three different patterns there. So let me actually walk you through now. I want to walk you through that pattern, but what I see on the markets there. So I'm going to bring up now my monthly charts. I'm going to first start with gold, and I'll get the silver as well too. So remember, right, if we have the pattern form on a weekly chart, it's a bit more of a longer term time frame than not the daily chart. Then obviously it's a bit more stronger, right? But if we can see these patterns forms on the monthly charts, right, which means that they're a lot more stronger, right, for longer term moves. Now, the monthly chart, as you know, right, there's a lot can happen within 1 month. So let's actually go to here. Let's go to this monthly chart here, and let me share with you what I'm seeing here right now, and why I believe that this number one pattern is showing us right now. We could see a pretty big move in gold. Now, what I mean by a pretty big move, right? We're talking about long term here. Day by day, we could go up for a few days, down for a few days, sideways. But the bigger picture here, right? The long term. This is my law, like a long term investing type of approach. So, firstly, what do I see here? Firstly, if I draw a trend line from here and I draw it up through there, notice what's happening through here. Notice how if I make that trend line a lot thicker as well too. Let me make that really thick. Notice how we had this low, and we had this low through here, and we had this low through here, right? So that's the market sort of rising up through this trend line here. But let me just create another parallel trend line throughout there. But if I also draw another trend line, and I draw it from this high up here, and I connect all the high points, the absolute high points, look at that beauty. Just look at that beauty. Look at this. This is now, actually, it's actually not quite a decade. It's actually, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pretty much around about 5 or 6 years. This really has been squeezing up, right? You can see how much it's been squeezing up here for the last sort of 5 or 6 years here. Now, once again, the market here is like, it's squeezing up into this triangle pattern. And for people that have been buying physical gold and physical silver, they're more like investing approaches where they're buying and hold. They're treating it more like a property investment where they're going to buy it and hold it for like 10 years or 20 years. Right now, what we're seeing in the markets is truly incredible. And we're starting to see a lot of pressure right now, even on the short term. If I zoom right in here, right, we can see we're starting to create some sort of higher low through here as well on this monthly chart. So we're starting to build a lot of buying pressure through this massive triangle pattern through here. And once it breaks, what the market loves to do is the market loves to run to support and resistance levels, or the major support and resistance levels. So once we break out of these type of patterns, the market loves to run to the support or the major support or major resistance levels. So where is that? If we have a look up here, right, the next major level up is pretty much up through here, or the ultimate level is right up through here, right, which is this 185 level. Is that probably is now once we start to break out of this triangle pattern on the monthly chart, then over the next 2 to 5 years, I could see gold getting up to the 185. Now I'm using the GLD because that's the ETF, and I can get a lot more data using this here than I can looking at just the gold chart, right? But the GLD is the same thing. I can just get a lot more data here. So, but same for the gold. So once we break here, we have a very, very, very high probability chance for investing purposes, maybe next 2 to 5 years, of us getting up and probably even breaking to an all-time new high on gold once we get out of this here. Because this whole triangle pattern here is one big energy field that gold has been just building and building and building and building. And when the market gets into these triangle patterns, it's got all this energy. And when it does break, we're likely to go for a nice run. Now, on the monthly charts, same for the daily charts and the weekly charts. Whenever we do get a run, we're probably going to go with the market's probably going to stair step. So we may go for, just like back here, right? We actually went for a nice run up, and then we actually ran up for about what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, say 7 months. It ran up for 7 months, and then we had a pullback for 3, 4, 5 months, and then it ran up. That's probably what's likely going to happen there. That's why it's when we do break out of this long-term pattern here on gold, that's why it's going to probably take maybe a good 2 to 5 years. Now I say 2 to 5 years because we don't know how strong the breakout's going to be, but as we move into the next recession, the next downturn on the stock market, this is the one a lot of buying activity is likely to come back into gold, and so therefore, for the next 2 to 5 years, I do see gold making an all-time new high. So that's that one pattern there that I see on gold. Now, silver's silver's a lot different. So let me actually go share with you what I'm seeing on silver. And the reason why I'm laughing is because silver is just like completely opposite, right? It's like it hasn't been compressing up at all. It's actually been going down for a long, long, long time. But the same thing applies for silver long term. What do we have here for silver long term? We have firstly, we can see that again, this is the monthly chart here. So if we go to this low here, look at that there, right? We've had this major, major, major support level that's been here. Again, we're looking at the monthly chart here for the long-term picture. So we've had this major support through here. Look at it, actually came down recently, bounced off there, and now we're almost there at where we are right now. Now, notice that gold is starting to get a lot of buying activity for the last few weeks, where silver hasn't done that yet. And if gold continues up, silver will likely catch up. Now, again, that's the short term there. But on the bigger picture, what do we also see on silver? We also see, if I draw a trend line from here and I draw it down through there, look at that through there. And let me just make that a bit thicker. All right, through there. And look at that through there. So as you can see, right, it started at this point through here, and look at it all just squeezing right up into this triangle pattern. Now, this is more of a longer term. This has been actually happening for, again, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 6, 7 years on average. It's been starting to form, but it really has been forming for the last, say, 4 or 5 years. So as you can see, we've been squeezing up into this triangle pattern. And as I was explaining before, that these triangle patterns are not bullish or bearish. All they simply mean is that we're squeezing up and we're getting ready to break out. And when we do break out, that all that energy that was built up in the time that making the triangle pattern, like we can see here, is likely to be released, and then we're likely to see a nice move. That's why I titled this analysis here, Silver and Gold Technical Analysis, the one pattern that I see that's likely to see a big bull run, because looking at what's happening with gold right now, if we do start to see a break above this long-term triangle pattern here, then yeah, I do honestly see silver doing some pretty exciting things. And yes, I do see silver, and I know this sounds crazy, right? Like even me looking at the chart, where's the next major resistance level? It's up here. And after we squeezed up through here. So that's where like silver, the more that gold continues to go up and go up and go up, and silver's just sort of just going down and still at pretty much ultra low levels, the more exciting silver is going to be. It's probably going to catch up pretty big time. So this here is looking at that bigger picture on silver and gold, looking at the long-term picture and what's likely to happen over the next, say, 2 to 5 years, maybe even over the next decade. Where's things likely to go from here? And I don't see silver breaking down, going down to 12 and 10 and stuff like that. I just don't see it doing that. But one thing I do see silver doing is that once we do start to break out, if we start to get a really nice break out of this triangle pattern on silver, then we could see some really, really, really exciting activities happening in silver and gold. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, guys. I really wanted to share with you this one pattern here. It's a very simple pattern, which is just a triangle pattern. But when you start to see these patterns form on longer term charts, such as the monthly charts, you can start to see, oh, these charts are telling me, right? These charts are telling me that we could be getting ready for a nice move over the next couple of years, maybe next 2 to 5 years or even more on the charts. And once again, the reason why I say 2 to 5 years is because we never really know what's going to happen and how, if it does break to the upside, we never know, is it going to be like 2010, 2011? Are we going to see a big, strong vertical move like that again? We don't know. But one thing that we do have a high probability is that it's likely to get to the silver SLV is likely to get back up to $48 over the next 2 to 5 years. We just don't know when. It could take 2 years. It could take 5 years. We just don't know how strong those buyers are going to be. And so that's one thing we can't predict. But what we have a high probability of happening is where it's likely to go. We just don't know when. And so that's one thing I wanted to share with you in today's session here. And I hope you can see now, guys, why I see this here. So if you guys, this is okay, what I'm about to say right now is not a recommendation, so you need to do your own thing. But for me personally, that's why I've been loading up, for me, long term. Okay, for me personally, long term, I really do like, long term anyway, I do like the silver and gold market for long term investing purposes, meaning that I don't care if it goes down tomorrow, if we have 1 or 2 down weeks or something like that. It doesn't bother me with that, because what I'm looking at on these longer term pictures, these bigger pictures here, these really, really, really long term pictures, the monthly charts are very, very, very powerful. And these triangle patterns are nothing but energy fields. And these triangle patterns are, and the more that the bigger and longer these triangle patterns, the more energy the market is building up. So when we do break, we're likely to go for a nice move in the markets. So that's what I wanted to share with you here in today's session. Let me just go through. If you have any questions, guys, put them in the chat box, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. John, when you find time, what do you think the Fed will reduce rates next? When you find the time, do you think the Fed will reduce rates next week, or will they be patient till they fall? Thanks for your help. Have a great weekend. Firstly, hey Seed, para building. Firstly, I hope you have a great week as well too. We don't know, right? We don't know. One thing we do know what's likely to happen is over time, as this recession starts to, the recession may be starting now underneath the surface. If you watched my yesterday's video, you know that really a top really takes a good year, right, to form. If you look at the last couple of, the 2000 bubble took a whole year for that top to form. If you look at the 2008 bubble, it pretty much took a close to 12 months for that whole top to form before we started a good couple of year down, a good 1 to 2 year downturn. One thing we do know is that it's not a matter of, do I think they're going to drop rates next week? Like, I don't know. But one thing we can be sure of is that they're probably, like, over the next couple of years, they're probably going to start to drop the rates even more because of it's just a cycle, right? We know we're going to head into a recession. We know we're going to head into a downturn. Now, that recession downturn is not a bad thing. We can benefit from things like silver and gold. We can benefit from trading the market on the downside. There's so many amazing opportunities. So I hope that makes sense to you. It's a flip a coin whether they're going to do it next week. But one thing we can sort of have a high probability of happening is as this recession unfolds, right? What happens in recessions? The market goes down, the Fed scrambles, they start to drop the rates to calm the market, so on and so forth. So we can see that happening over the next, say, I reckon over the next couple of years. We can see that happening again. If we are forming that top right now, that we have been here for the last year and a half, if we are forming a top right now, then next year, or maybe over the next couple of years, as the market starts to go down and we start to go into a bit of a recession, a bit of a downturn, which is okay. There's nothing to be scared about of it. When we start to do that, we know the Feds are going to drop the rates. Now, depends on how far they actually drop them, and then it'd be really interesting to see what they're going to do in the next recession, next downturn. But we know what's going to happen, right, guys? I want you thinking long term when you're looking at these markets here. Don't be scared of the markets at all. Don't be scared of a recession. What you want to be making sure is making sure that your powder is dry, making sure that you are being very, very diligent with the way that you are trading, and you are keeping your powder dry, because when this recession comes, guess what's going to happen after the recession? The recession comes, the downturn comes, it's probably going to last for a couple of years or more, maybe 1 to 2 years. And then after that, guess what's going to happen, right? We're going to go through another big boom run, like a big bull run. It's just a cycle thing, right? We go for big booms, and then we go for a big boom from 7 to 10 years. Sometimes we'll say 5 to 7 years on average. And some, like this one here, has been 10 years. And then we go through a couple of years worth of a downturn, and then the market picks back up, and then long term we pick back up again. So be excited about this, guys. I'm really excited about the next recession, because from that you can pick up some good property deals. You can pick up some really good deals from stocks if you're looking for some long-term buy and hold stocks, just to collect the dividends. On top of that, right now there's amazing long-term opportunities on the upside, like silver and gold, that I'm excited about. So power building, I hope that makes sense to you. We can't on the short term. It's very, very hard to say what's going to happen on the short term, but over the next couple of years, we all know how it's all going to play out. So just make sure you position yourself to benefit from how that's all going to play out over the next couple of years. Silver, gold, like try to stay away from trying to predict what's going to happen this week or next week, or try to be in a position in the market to try to benefit what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks, because when you're doing that, you need a good trading system to do that. But for investing purposes, you want to stay away from that. The Fed already said that they weren't planning on making any increase or cuts, so I wouldn't be surprised if they would just hold. Yeah, my thoughts are that they'll probably just keep it on hold, because the market really hasn't gone down. We're very close. We're still very close to all-time new highs. We're not that far away from it, so we have had a little drop. So I don't think they're going to do it. Hit the like button for John. Hey, Coin Fox, I appreciate that. Big thumbs up here for your champion. Does gold move after we are in a recession, or usually start moving before? The what generally happens is gold generally starts before a recession starts. So if you go back and look at, so say for example, if we go back, I'll go back to the GLD chart here, and I'll use the 2008. Where's the GLD chart? Right. So I'll use the GLD chart here. And I'll bring up, can I bring up the weekly chart? I'll bring up, say, a 6-day chart. All I'm doing is I'm just trying to try and go back to 7-day chart. I'm going to go back to the 2008 period. So as you can see, right, so through this whole 2008 period, right, so this is gold back here in 2007 and 2008. As we know, right, the top in the market, was around 2007, and then it started to sort of fall through 2008. And as you can see, gold was slowly rising and definitely went through a big rise. Look at that there. As the stock market was actually forming a top in the middle of 2007 to 2008, that's when the stock market was forming a top. But look at what's happening with gold. Gold actually started taking off around about the middle, towards the middle of, what's that, January? About August, right? August, we started to pick up really, really a lot here. So as we went through a big, as we can see, right, we actually went through a big, what's that, about 7 or 8 big bull run first before the market actually started to come down. Yes, we got a bit of a pullback with gold, and then gold picked back up again. So the gold generally starts to make some pretty big moves before the downturn comes. So once again, guys, don't be afraid of the downturn. There's plenty of opportunities out there, and when the downturn comes, it's going to be bad. It's going to be a lot of people are going to lose jobs and so on and so forth. And then guess what's going to happen? You know, over the next couple of years, we're going to go through a recession, and then probably another 3 or 4 years after that, we're going to be out of the recession and going through another big bull run. It's just cycles. That's happened. It's what happens time and time again. Gold retraced today. Yeah, gold actually did retrace today. That's on the short term. Let me actually go to the gold chart itself. Yeah, but gold's pretty high. So what I mean by gold's pretty high is we've actually already gone for a big run out of gold. So let's do this here. Right, so we've already gone for a pretty big run, and we are at right now at significant major resistance on this weekly chart. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it actually had a bit more of a pullback where we are right now on the short term. That is only because we've already had a big bull run and we're at this resistance level. So a bit of profit taking, a bit of a selling coming in. But then I think my thoughts are is long term the market we're probably likely to hold here and then continue up. But that's on the short term anyway. Again, because we've already had a big run up to this major resistance level on this weekly chart, you can see what's happening right now. It's rejecting it. So profit taking from people who have been buying it for the last few months prior to this move up, and then yeah, and once we've had this big run up, once we get a bit of a pullback to sort of balance things out, then we're probably likely to go for another big run again. And once it breaks, then that's when we can see some exciting moves. John, when gold breaks out of 1400 level, maybe a big move follows. Well, the big move's already started, Saeed. If you think about it, right, the big move's already started. It's just the big move. We already had a big move, right? We went from 1290 to pretty much 1360 within a few weeks. So that's actually already that's a big move in the markets. So what's happening right now on the daily chart, right? We're just going sideways a bit because we're just collecting. We've already had a lot of price going to the upside, so it just needs a bit of resting phase to balance things out, and then we're likely to go for another run again. So we if people are saying a big move to come, we have already started the big move. It's already happened. That's what's going on right now on the daily chart, right? Because remember that daily chart. We can have a down day, we can have an up day, and then we look at the weekly chart and the monthly chart, right? There's a lot of things that can happen inside 1 week. And so a big move right now, the market is already starting to make that big move. Now, remember, the market won't just go straight up. We will get a pullback and stuff like that, but that's just a nice healthy pullback through there. Corn futures. Corn. Yeah, corn actually looks very strong. I have been looking at corn, but corn has been looking really, really, really strong here. We've had this big run up through here and a nice little higher low. So corn is actually looking quite strong through there, definitely. My question is, what do you think will happen to hold silver if they cut rates or if they leave them the same? I think the PMs are going to... Vag, I think the question that you're asking there, we don't know. We don't know what is going to happen when it comes to the interest rates. So we can't say if the interest rates drop, then silver and gold is going to go up because of that. What we can say is look what the chart is telling us, look what the market's telling us, and then just go off that. But anything else connected or related to that, or like, for example, the dollar or the Fed and stuff like that, what if you're looking at that, the long term, right? The long term, if you're looking at that, if there's going to be signs of recession coming, then yeah, silver and gold is probably going to start to pick up because they're like a hedge, they're a safety mechanism, and so on and so forth. So especially if they do start to drop the rates, that's signaling to the market that things are not well, and then you probably see even more of a move in silver and gold. So yeah, but I wouldn't be worried about that because we don't really have any control over that, and there may not be any correlation between the rates and what silver and gold does. What we can do is say, okay, this is what the market's telling us long term, and this is fundamentally what's coming down the road. how do we position ourselves properly to benefit from that next 2 to 5 years of what's going to happen. The reason why I say 2 to 5 years, because we may be another couple of years out before we even start that downturn. We may be forming the top right now. We just never know. That's what I say, 2 to 5 years. Thanks, John. Parabuilding, no problem. JNUG is not really following the gold price. Need patience. Well, JNUG is the JNUG itself. Remember, it's based on the junior miners, so it's not based on gold. So don't be buying JNUG, because remember, the JNUG is a junior miners 3 times index. So if you go to the GDXJ, that's what the JNUG follows with the GDXJ. So that's the reason why JNUG hasn't made a very strong move, because JNUG it's the daily junior gold miners index times 3, right? So 3 times leverage. So the longer term picture here for JNUG, and one thing that I've been keeping an eye on too for JNUG, is that longer term picture. We can clearly see that we've been getting this long term, this very, very, very long term sort of trend line coming down through to here, as we can see, like through there. So we can see that very long term sort of trend line coming down over the last sort of couple of years. Maybe there's something more through here. We do know we did have that coming down through there. So we had that point. Again, I'm looking at the weekly chart here now, guys. So that's what I'm looking at. That's not that there. So again, I'm just looking at I'm just doing this on the JNUG right now. But it'd be the same. It'd be the same sort of thing for the actual GDXJ, or the junior miner. So if I do that through there, draw that through there, and then connect that down through there, we can see ultimately, right? Look at that through there. So that's what's happening right now on the JNUG. Short term, or should I say, they had this point through here, had a resistance through here, resistance through here. Look at all that resistance all through there. Again, this is the weekly chart. Came up, and look what came down, and look at all that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks it bounced off that line, which was all this level through here, and now we're retracing back up again. So, and then we have this ultimate, and then we have this very, very, very long-term trend line through here, which once again, it's probably going to be somewhere through there, I would say. Somewhere through there. And so that's what we're seeing right now. And we have obviously ultimate support down through here. So that's what we're seeing right now. Once we start to clear this level through here, this will be right now we can see that this level through here on this weekly chart, let me make that a lot thicker. Once we start to clear this high, because this was the last lower high. So we had lower high, a whole bunch of lower high through here, came down, came back up, formed another lower high. So once the JNUG starts to, I'm talking about the JNUG here and focusing on that on the weekly chart, once we start to really get breaking above this $13 level here, that's going to show a change in trend, because the market's no longer lowering their prices. The market's now changing into that. Now, what do we also have here? Let me just delete. What do we also have on this here? If JNUG holds where we are right now, what also is this? This is a big double bottom, right? Because we have pretty much one bottom through here. We actually had a bit of a double bottom through there, didn't we? We actually, look at that there. There was actually a small double bottom through there. That was that bottom, and that was that bottom. We had pretty much the neckline, which was through here, right? That was the neckline. So what do you do? How do you measure that? Let me zoom right in on here. You measure it. You go from the high of the neckline. The neckline is the middle piece of the double bottom. You measure it from that top point. You measure it down. You project that out, and bam. Oh, look at that. And that point through there is, look at that. And look what happened. Once we broke out of this point through here, it ran straight to that point through there. Look at that. Isn't that just wonderful? So that's what's happening, right? That's a projection filled. So that's what we're seeing through there right now. But if I take everything off the screen here, we also can see what? We also can see that there's a larger double bottom forming as well too, right? So we have this whole thing could be one bottom, and then we have another bottom through here. So if this is a double bottom, this is the neckline. So this would be the neckline through here, right there. So where is the projection? The projection is that if we draw from the neckline, which is the middle piece, and we draw down to that support level there. Let's actually go to that support level now. So we're going to go down to that support level. So we're going to do that. The projection is just like we saw in that little one, right? We saw that little one, and then guess what? It actually made that projection on that little double bottom. Now the big double bottom here, the projection is up through there and up through there. And as you can see, right, we have that up through there, and that'll be the projection through there. And oh my goodness, you cannot make that up. Look at that there. And that goes right inside of that point through there. That next major level of resistance. We have a little resistance here up. The next major resistance is right there. So that's the projection line. Once we start to really break out of this longer term, all right? Well, maybe we already have. Actually, you know what? No, the trend line's actually through there. Right, so we've actually, oh, okay. No, the market is actually more through there, isn't it? Yeah, that's a more of a valid trend line because that's a lot more touches, isn't it? Yeah, this point through here, this point through here, point through here. Look at this here. Resistance came down, found support in here as well too. So as you can see, right, once it actually broke this was happening now for the last couple of years. Once we broke this, that's when it actually changed the tune in the market. Then we came down, found support, which could be double bottom. If it is a double bottom, once we start to break $12, then we're probably likely to be heading up maybe to $18, probably even as high as, it's more of an area, isn't it? Probably even high as these resistance levels up through here. So it's more of a band, then it's more of an area up through here is where the market is likely to run to, just like that small double bottom did. Isn't that fascinating? So that's what we see through there, guys. That's what we see happening right now on JNUG. Let me just go through some more questions here, guys. And what are your thoughts on silver, especially for long term? Think it will pace gold 5-10 years from now? We don't know. We don't know. But one thing you got to keep an eye on, or keep a reminder on when it comes to silver, is a lot more volatile. So you expect a lot more swings up, a lot more swings down, very, very, very volatile compared to gold. So if you are long-term investing in silver, just keep that in mind. You're going to get much bigger, stronger moves up, and then much bigger, a lot more volatility happening in silver long term. And thanks for all your videos, John. You're underrated and underviewed on YouTube. Oh, thanks, Fudge. Thanks, Fudge. I appreciate that. I appreciate your support there. I really, really do. Guys, if there's 28 viewers, there should be at least 20 likes. Hit the like button as it helps his channel. If you get any value here, then hit it. Hey, Coin Fox. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. How long have you been following me? How long have you been watching my videos for now, Coin Fox? Because I don't think I've actually seen you in one of these live sessions before. So, but I really do appreciate it. As you can see, right, like with these videos, guys, I really do it to help you out. And I also do it because I also do want people to take up the trading course stuff that I'm doing and the other stuff that I have to offer. And that's why I do it for so cheap, because I really want to help people out there. But you can see with these videos, right, I don't really say hit the like button, subscribe and stuff like that, because I just think, it'll happen. So maybe I should actually start saying that, hit the like button, hit subscribe and stuff like that. I just, it'll happen when it's happened. So, but CoinFox, yeah, I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate the support, and I really appreciate that. I can see that, especially these last couple of sessions that I've done, that you're getting so much value out of me really, really teaching you the technical analysis side of the markets, and you're subscribed. Fantastic. Paleo, you've been a long-term subscriber. Appreciate your support, champ. I really do. So, 4 weeks. All right, fantastic. And CoinFox, I'm guessing that over the last 4 weeks, the videos I've been doing, the videos I've been doing and what you've been watching, you've been getting a lot of value from. I guess that from this. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I'm really glad that you're finding a lot of value from it there. So there we go, guys. That's what I see, and that's the reason why I titled this "The One Pattern Shows Big Bull Run Coming in Silver and Gold." It's because of that long-term monthly charts. Those long-term monthly charts really, really, really do show a lot of value, a lot of that squeezing up of that energy field, compressing up, compressing up, compressing up. And when you do start to compress up like that, it's one big energy field ready to release. And when we do break out, it's like the releasing of that energy. And we're likely to see a nice move in silver and gold again over the next 2 to 4 years. So, and also you get a lot of bonus there happening with what's happening with JNUG right now. So there we go, guys. Have an amazing weekend, guys. I appreciate you all. Also appreciate your CoinFox, Paleo, and your long-term subscribers as well too. And I really, really do appreciate you guys. Have an amazing week. Once again, guys, if you haven't done so yet, you know, if you do need help with your trading, then make sure you go down to John's. Let's go to here. John's flash sale. It's only $7. It's like something like, it's probably close, I think, like 7 or 8 hours worth of content. There's 12 videos there teaching everything from trading systems to chart reading stuff and all that sort of stuff. So go to johnsflashsale.com and get access to that and start to learn the art of trading and hopefully that it will help you. It will help you start to get a bit more of a lead way into these markets. So have an amazing weekend, guys, and I'll catch you next time.